Hello and welcome to Runkle of the Bailey. My name is Ian Runkle. I'm a Canadian criminal defense and firearms lawyer. I have a number of videos discussing Bill C-11, and I make no secret of the fact that I think it's a bad bill. Some of these videos discuss the negative impacts that it might have on small creators like myself, which seems to be for the goal of silencing independent voices, as well as the negative impacts it's likely to have on groups like immigrants and refugees by preventing them from accessing material from their home countries or in their first languages, because, of course, those sites might not have enough Canadian content. And if they don't have enough Canadian content, well, we'll be instructed to block them entirely. And even if those sites do find a way to start complying with that, the content that those people are looking for may be pushed down in favor of Canadian content. So all of these are negative impacts, but believe it or not, Bill C-11 has managed to get worse. And the way it's done that is with an amendment in the Senate, and that comes from Senator Julie Miville-Deschênes, who was appointed, of course, by Justin Trudeau. He does not have a great track record on all of this. What this amendment says is that online undertakings shall implement methods such as age verification methods to prevent children from accessing programs on the internet that are devoted to depicting, for a sexual purpose, explicit sexual activity. Now, a lot of you are probably saying, okay, so they want to keep kids from accessing porn. Fantastic. Well, we already have a mechanism for that, and it's called parents. The government doesn't do a great job at being parents. They really struggle in this regard, and it's really something that they shouldn't try to do. Here, the impacts of this are going to be severe when we start looking at what this will actually do as it'll have to be implemented if it goes through. For example, Twitter is a page that includes sexual content. You have to go looking for it, of course, but it's out there. So you may need to enter age verification information in order to access Twitter. The same goes for Reddit. The same goes for Facebook. The same goes for Google. The same goes for your favorite online streaming service, because, for instance, Game of Thrones includes some scenes that are pretty spicy, and whether or not they are for a sexual purpose, it's certainly been suggested that that's why those scenes were in there. Sites are likely to over-comply with this rather than under-comply. However, many sites will do the opposite, and they'll just say, you know what, Canadians aren't worth it. We're just not that big of a market, and they may just say, we are just going to block Canadians from access rather than dealing with these regulatory requirements, because who needs that kind of headache for the small market that we are? Any site that allows for user-posted content is potentially at risk here because, of course, users post all sorts of things, which may or may not be, spicy. All of these things are, going to be a potential issue. And you might say, okay, well, it's not such a big deal. You'll just have to, click that you're of age. Not so fast. The age verification methods that they're talking about here aren't just like click OK to say that you are of a particular age. They're talking about actually something that connects to you personally to identify you, which means that all of your internet browsing stops being quite as private as it once was. Right now, I can go on Reddit and I can browse and check stuff out, and I don't need to worry that the government is looking at it unless they've gone and gotten a warrant to get that information, because this is very private information. Just earlier, I was researching the Burke and Hare murders and, details around that. I might not feel as comfortable researching those things, even though it's for a completely innocent purpose. That was for Trials of the Century, because if I'm worried that the government is going to have access to this and might make decisions on it, which are probably going to be bad decisions. This is very concerning if we start tracking all of this internet activity that I mentioned, Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Google, all of these things back to specific people. This is an incredible surveillance overreach. And this raises huge charter concerns with regards to this bill, both because of the surveillance aspects of it, but also because they are putting up an obstacle that is, a potentially pretty serious obstacle. You have to give up a lot. You have to give up that privacy. You have to actually go through those steps to do whatever, it's requiring. in order to access legal materials. So this is an incredibly concerning amendment, and quite frankly, the bill needs to go if they can't remove that amendment. This in and of itself should be fatal, because this is a serious attack on the privacy and just on the fundamental assumptions of the internet. You know, requiring all of these sites to have special rules for Canadians is likely to result in Canada experiencing a very balkanized internet where plenty of places, as mentioned, just go dark. I have some grave concerns about this as a philosophical element. As mentioned, I have concerns about the previous censorship provisions that were in the bill, but this is a very substantial censorship provision. Of course, it's put in on the basis of, won't somebody please think of the children, like almost all bad amendments to law. And the effects of this are going to be potentially pretty terrible, and I suspect it will ultimately be a matter that gets struck down by the courts. But it's hard to say. Our courts have not necessarily been the most staunch protectors of liberties these days, so who knows? Anyway, I guess that's my sort of brief commentary on this one. I'll have some more comments later, but it's just hard to every day we seem to be having more bad news. So thank you guys for watching. Please like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to see more content. I think this is a really important issue. You're going to see it start to get spun in the media. This will probably be something that gets run as sort of an election issue of, you know, either you're with us or you want children to be exposed to, you know, hardcore whatever, which really isn't what this is about. This is about the impacts that it will have on adults and the impacts it will have on people trying to access material that you might not think of as, you know, even remotely spicy. I can tell you the things I do on Twitter are not remotely spicy, but because that material's out there, am I going to have to put in age verification for Twitter? Probably, if this goes through. It's very short-sighted, and once again, this is something that is just sort of amended in at the last moment, and we may be stuck with it if people don't speak up. So write your local politician, write the senator I mentioned, Senator Julie Miville-Deschênes. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. I do understand she's from Quebec, so hopefully I've got that right, but yeah, write people and let them know that that you don't approve of this, assuming you don't, and hopefully somebody listens, although I don't have a whole lot of faith in that. Thank you guys for watching. I want to thank my Patreon supporters as well. At the $50 level, Canada's National Firearms Association, the CCFR, and the Canadian Shooting Sports Association. At the $30 level, Sights and Arms Limited and Jane Babe and Luxor. And at the $20 level, Mark, Kyle Fox, Haywire, Gerald to the Bailey, Dale Nesbitt, Cameron Johnson, Andrew Elsich, Vicky, and thank you as well to Forest River Outfitters, as well as all of the people who will be in the crawl immediately following. Thank you for watching. I hope this has armed you with knowledge.